All right. Well, welcome to the Candidate Forum Lightning Round and Drink Fest. All right. The bar is open, and if you don't have a ticket, get one, and then you can get a drink. I would recommend that the candidates maybe wait until after you give your speeches to go to the bar. So we have, I believe, I should have double checked, I believe we have 8 spots open, or is it 6? Where's Irving? Irving's outside. How many do we have? We have 6. I'm going with 6. We have 6 spots open, thank you. I'm channeling my inner Jane McDonnell. We have 6 spots open, and we have, I believe we have 22 people running for those 6 seats. So that's actually quite amazing and awesome, and I wish all of you could be on the board, but then we would need bigger rooms for our board meetings, and those don't exist. So we're gonna have to choose 6. And to start that process, we're gonna have this lightning round. Each person is gonna come up, they have 2 minutes. Originally we talked about having 3 minutes. I suggested 1 minute, so we decided to meet in the middle. You have 2 minutes. At the end of the 2 minutes, I will be rude and interrupt you if you haven't stopped already, and then we'll go on to the next person. If there is time, if you guys are really short and condensed and brief and all the things that journalists are known for, we will try and maybe take a couple questions from the audience, but it all depends on time. We'll see how we go. So first up, we will start with, let me ask if Stacey Baird is here. I know she was, let me step back. We have a couple of candidates who have some other commitments, who are leading other sessions or wrapping them up. So there may be a couple of people who come in at the end to speak. Looks like Stacey's not here, so we'll go on to Selimar Colon, who's gonna be our first speaker. Come on up. I should say we're going in alphabetical order, and you are first.
Thank you very much. And you got the name right. That was always my challenge in college. Every time I will see a professor struggling with this, that's like, it's me, Selimar. So that's my name, Selimar Colon. I'm from Puerto Rico. I go by Celi. It's way easier for me and for everybody. So on social media, Celi Colon. It's not colon, Colon, with an accent at the end. Like I said, I'm from Puerto Rico. I've done my whole career in Spanish language television at Univision. I'm one of those stories that started there as an intern. I started on the television side. I produced many coverage with Jorge Ramos and Marilena Salinas, from Barack Obama's inauguration to the World Cup. The 2010 was a crazy year because I started with the field producing the Haiti earthquake coverage and ended up the summer with South Africa with the World Cup. And then 5 years ago, I decided to embark on that, what people still in the sub-TV industries might call the crazy journey of digital. I did have people tell me, are you sure you want to move to digital? And I was like, yes, let's do it. And I built, they asked me to build a team of video journalists, video breaking news journalists, and I did that. So I've been in digital for the past 5 years in a legacy company, trying to build those bridges in between the two worlds and also informing a Spanish language audience on various platforms also. And this year, I got an extra push on that side, and now I'm the editor-in-chief of the Univision Noticias news team. And this is my first year at ONA. And what I would like to do is for more people like me, more newsrooms like me, where you don't hear the name ONA, or I say ONA, it should be O-N-A, in Spanish, the ONA. So I want more people to ask, what is this about? What am I, like, what's in it for me? How can I benefit from it? How can ONA benefit from this, from people like me and in organizations in legacy media that are television like us? So in general, that's what I would like to do in ONA, and that's it, my time's up, so.
All right, very good. I need to pause this. Come on. This is why you don't run the beta. All right, there we go. I meant to mention the hashtag for this event is hashtag ONA elects, E-L-E-C-T-S. All right, our next speaker is Teresa Fintado.
Hi, hola. My name is Teresa Frontado. I'm the digital director at WLRN, which is the NPR member station in Miami, Florida. And I want to start with a little story. I was last week in a meeting with some academics that their area of expertise is artificial intelligence, and they work on how to prevent fake news and how to stop deep fakes. And it was a group of journalists, and a couple of my colleagues were asking, what does this mean about Iran? What does this mean about Trump? What does this mean about North Korea? And then somebody from local media raised their hands and said, can you do that with the body cams that our police officers have? The point of the story, so the question is, which question is more interesting? Which one is more relevant? My answer is all of them. My answer is all of the questions will lead to great stories. But we need to have all kinds of media, and we need to have a diversity of voices in the room to ask these kind of questions. Because the question about the police body cams was super interesting, and it led to a discussion about watermarks. And the reason why I'm bringing this story is because the current ONA board is fantastic. We have so many talented people, but nobody is from local media. I am from local media, and I would like to be a voice for those of us that work day to day in local communities in our board. I started, I work at an NPR station. Before that, I was at the Miami Herald. I did two tours of duty at the Miami Herald during the whole transition into digital, into a multi-platform world. I worked at Univision with Celi, and also at CBS News, and I'm a former Knight Wallace Fellow. The reason why I'm bringing all of this is just so you know that I have been in a lot of different media, so I think I can relate to a lot of experiences of people that are here in the room. Thank you for being here today, and those who are on the live cast. And that's it. Both local.
I know those 2 minutes go fast when you're up here. I forgot to introduce myself. Not that you're all like dying to wonder who I am, because really, who cares? But I'm Josh Hatch. I'm actually one of the board members. I've been on ONA board for 8 years, and I decided not to run because I don't want to face 22 amazing candidates. And so I know that when you make your selections, it's going to be a really great board. So speaking of which, next is Rodney Gibbs. Come on up.
Thank you. Hi there. I'm Rodney Gibbs with the Texas Tribune. Welcome to Austin. We turned the heat down for you from 100. It's good to see you. It always resonates to me at ONA because we deal with news and technology and how you make money off that or stay in business with that, because that reflects my trajectory to get here. I started in public affairs TV in Chicago, and that kind of in a circuitous, promiscuous way led to web development. I'll sleep with anybody, and that in turn led to starting a couple mobile app companies, which we found the most success making a news quiz game that the Tribune was one of our customers for, which led me to being employed by the Tribune. So I've come full circle. And so the culture here really is important to me because it's one of the few places I feel where we're enriched by having all these discussions that coming at journalism from all angles, not just the storytelling, but the plumbing and piping of the platforms and distribution that makes it happen, and how you pay for it. What motivated me to run is a couple things. It's a tumultuous time, you might have noticed. Someone's tweeting a lot in the White House. It's a tumultuous time in journalism with layoffs and things we've seen today, like at 60 Minutes. I think we're also taking a lot of stern, hard looks at ourselves in the mirror, at our own biases, our own newsrooms, diversity, and how that affects both who we are and what we cover. And so those things are very, concerning to me, and I want to. The way I approach that is, what can I do to make a positive impact? And in our newsroom, I have some say, and we really focus on culture, people, and processes, because those are things that we can control that really make us nimble and react well and address these things. And those are things I think I would like to help ONA fortify, which has great things in place already, but I could build on that as a board member. I've been involved with the local Hacks and Hackers. I now chair that. The local NPR and PBS stations, I'm on the board. So I'd like to contribute on a national level with ONA. Thank you very much.
All right. Next, we have Imayan Abenga. Come on up.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Imani Benga. I run a team that helps contextualize news, and I'm an on-air presenter for Al Jazeera, AJ Plus, and none of that could happen without ONA. When I talk about, oh, I'm getting all emotional. When I talk about an organization that has literally changed the course of my career and my life, I care so much about this. I am in the OG class of the Digital Women's Leaders, the Accelerator, whatever. We know what I'm saying. I have 2 minutes. The point is, I want to do with this organization what it has done for me, but have other people. I am a first-generation Nigerian American who actually is from Austin, Texas, so shout out to those people. I want to bring people in like that. I started in print and in broadcast. I've been in legacy news organizations. I'm now at a digital native. So I hope people, when they see me, they see themselves also and someone who can help represent you. One of my greatest joys, so I'm in my first term now, running for my second, is seeing how this place has evolved. I've only been with ONA 3 years. I know I can feel like forever take up the space. But if you look at what the board looks like today, it's super amazing, and to work with those people and how different it looks. Just like look at the photo of this class from literally 3 or 4 years ago. Look at what this conference looks like today. And it's not just about diversity, it's about inclusion. So it's fine if we bring people in, but I want people to be in the space, have power, have action, do things that are actionable. So that's what I care about. That also includes students. I think one of our great joys is our student representative, because there are also different types of journalism, and one of her interests is like fashion journalism, and that to me was particularly interesting. So that's me. Sorry, I almost cry. I'm about that drama. The end.
All right, ended early. Bonus points. I don't know if you noticed, did you see how many ribbons Mayan has? I mean, I realize, very impressive. All right, next we have Mandy Jenkins. And by the way, I've been asked to ask all the candidates to please move this way on the, sort of center yourselves on the stage here for the live stream.
Okay. X marks the spot, which is not actually up here. Hi, I'm Mandy Jenkins. I'm ONA board president, and don't let that influence your vote at all, of course. But no, ONA is like a family to me. All of these people, plus a lot of the people out there in those rooms and on the live stream. Aside from ONA right now, I just started the John S. Knight Fellowship at Stanford, so I just left my newsroom. I've been running the newsroom at Storyful for the last 4 years, and now I'm kind of getting my own little reset. And I think it very much is kind of like the way ONA has been, and ONA is very much a reflection of the industry. You know, I've been on the board now. This was my third term. I want one last job is what I want to go back for, because ONA is growing and changing the same way that the industry is growing and changing. And I've gotten to see that, but I've also seen where we need to adapt as an organization to continue to have more people be able to come in from various parts of the industry. We've gotten that. We've seen that. You can see that in these candidates here, which is really exciting. But now we have to make sure that we're making plans to keep ONA sustainable and diverse and serving all of these different people who really need us the way that I needed to be a part of ONA in the past. And that's exactly what I want to come back and do a bit more of. We're in the middle of making our plans for the next few years. So for me, it's like I got to get those plans done. Want to make sure I leave the organization in a good place so that I can go back to being a nice, normal attendee of ONA, just like everybody else someday. It's a real pleasure for me to be able to serve ONA and continue to do this, because like Amayan said, this organization has given me so much, and I feel like I could never do enough to give it back. So thank you.
All right, let's see. I have to look up who we have next, even though he's standing right next to me. It is Chris Cruson.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, everybody. Okay, thanks for the chance to talk about my candidacy for this esteemed board. A little about me: I've spent 20 years now doing journalism, 18 of which on the digital side. In terms of local, all but 4 years of my career were spent in Pennsylvania at places big like the Philadelphia Inquirer and places small like the 2 websites we started in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia 4 years ago, which is a crazy amount of time to me. So why do I think I can make a difference with this group? If I could boil it down to this little format, it would mean taking the stuff that I love about this conference that I find to be implicit and more formally baking it into the conference. And what does that mean? So, for instance, I've argued pretty much everywhere I've worked that ONA is fundamental to the business and to my career in particular. I can't talk to you about the opportunities that this conference has given me personally and professionally. And what I look forward to every year now is not growing my career, because I'm pretty happy where I am, but helping people that I meet in the hallways to get to the next stage in their careers. And I really think that this conference could benefit, because the other thing I hear from everybody who comes to this conference every year is that ONA is great, but I don't really go to the sessions. It's more about the hallways, and I don't really care about the conference, and that breaks my heart because it's an amazing conference. So what I'd like to help figure out how to do is more formally bake mentorship into the conference program so the people who are coming for their 5th, their 6th, their 7th time can help through the year mentor younger people and bring them along in their careers in the way that we've all been able to do, because the people who are coming for their 5th, 6th, or 7th conference know everyone who's hiring, know what the skills those people are looking for, and can train these people who are coming for their 1st and 2nd conference, the dewy people who don't know where the drinks are yet. We get to help them, and we can also help them in their careers. So I really feel like the things that mean the most to me about this conference are you all. It's the best part of ONA is the people in it, and I would love the chance to serve and give back to the organization that has given so much to me through the course of my career. So I'll end a little early, and that's my speech. Vote Cruson, but vote, please, vote.
I think it's interesting that Chris wants to mentor people to teach them where the drinks are at ONA. Okay. More than that, of course. All right, next we have Julica Lantigua Williams. Come on up.
Hi, everybody. So I think it's fair to say that everyone who is a candidate would be an amazing board member. I've read all of their resumes and all of their platforms, and I was just like, okay, I would vote for all of you. This is really confusing. But I have a particular mission now. So I've been in media for 18 years. I was a staff writer at The Atlantic. I ran Code Switch at NPR. Before that, I was at Random House. I've started magazines. I've started newspapers, both in the United States and abroad. And I did the unthinkable last year, and I left Legacy Media. And I tell the story in a way, like in a relationship breakup, which is that it wasn't them, it was me. And so I finally, after 18 years of hitting my head against the corporate wall, realized I need to be the change I want to see in the world. And so a year ago, I started my own company, Lantigua Williams & Co., and we're a small boutique digital firm, and we produce podcasts and films. And I have recognized that I needed a much longer runway for what I did, because I just basically leapt off of the corporate floor. And so what I would love to see and what I would love to help spur is ONA serving as a place where we can build longer runways for a lot of amazing people who are trying to find a way to carve out space for themselves in digital media. And as all of you know, the future is in the solopreneur, the single contractor, the small person, the small business who's run from home or from an independent WeWork type of space. And that is across all industries in the United States. And journalists, we already have inherently all of the skills necessary to be independent workers. But I think that an organization like ONA could really help solidify a clear path for that with resources and mentoring and training and business acumen. So if I'm elected to your board, it's one of the things that I hope to bring to the organization to diversify our offerings. Thank you.
And she nailed the time, right on time. All right. I wonder if it's okay that I'm here at ONA and I'm using paper to keep track of things. I'm sorry. Next, we have Celeste Lecomte.
I'm Celeste Lecomte. I'm the Vice President of Business Development at ProPublica, and there are very few people in this half of the room and very many over here. So I apologize to the live stream. I'm going to look over here. I started my career in media in 2004, which was a very interesting time to get into the space. Everything has been in crisis on the business side basically since I began, and that is why I continue to be interested in working with ONA as an advocate for people who are thinking about editorial and business together. The question that was posed to us as candidates for the board was, what is the big challenge facing media today? And I continue to believe that it is solving the question about what is a sustainable business model for this industry. In 2004, I started at an independent magazine that was transitioning to online. I got a job because I knew HTML. And that sort of started this whole runway for me into thinking about what does it mean to become an organization that served a community of readers and then had to adapt to doing that in a digital space with a whole unknown revenue model behind it. That is a thing that I think the ONA community, more than any other, is well positioned to help us solve. The two things that I have always had to answer in my career have been, who are you really making this for, and how will you support it financially? And I think any efforts to blend the answer to those so that the answer is the same one requires the skills and the thoughts of people who've been working on the digital side and thinking a lot about audience and users and communities. And when we collaborate together, I think we make better decisions on that point. ONA gives us an opportunity to get together in a room on a regular basis, think about that, and to take those skills back to our newsrooms so that we're building collaboration in our newsrooms, in the industry, and with our communities. And I'll leave it at that, but I hope you'll vote for me.
All right, wonderful. I'm a little nervous about handing the next candidate the microphone. Usually that happens in front of a karaoke machine. Greg Lynch.
Thank you, thank you. I'm Greg Lynch. I'm running for re-election to the board of directors. I work as a web developer at Industry Dive, a business news company in DC. Been involved with ONA. First ONA was when I was a student. I was a reporter and editor back then. Now I'm a web developer. So ONA I've been with through the arc of my career, moving from journalism to technology. But the thing that I've done outside of work has been moving more to the humanities, more about the people side of things. And I think through ONA, one of the things that's most important is the people here, the people who make up the community, the people who we serve as board of directors members. So one of the things I think that ONA needs to continue to do is to focus on the people of our community and the people that we serve as journalists. So the idea of who are we, our identity, both professionally and personally, is something I've been thinking a lot about, both in terms of how do we bring our personal identities to our work, how do we keep them in doing our work, and how do the two mix? So a lot of times at ONA, you might hear people come up to you and say, oh, who are you, where do you work, things like that. I think we need to ask each other personal questions. We need to connect with people on a human level. We need to frame things in human terms. When we see technology executives who come out and they speak in terms of technology, not people. So I think that's one of the things that we need to keep our eye on as technology becomes further and further embedded into everything we do. We need to be there to support each other, to help each other as we go through our careers. One of the things I've heard a lot so far this conference, which is always one of my favorite questions, is what do you want to be when you grow up? I remember asking that question on Twitter maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, and it's always so interesting to see what people when they were kids wanted to be when they grew up and how that informed what they do. But even now, whether you're early career, mid-career, late career, we still have these questions as the industry is transforming. So we have ONA, I hope, to help people answer those questions and succeed.
All right, next we have Frank Munjam.
That's right. And perfectly pronounced. Thank you. My name is Frank Munjam. I'm the Vice President of Audience Engagement at Tegna. If you don't know, we are 41, soon to be, local broadcast newsrooms across the country. And I'm standing in front of you, I think, because of my college reunion. I don't know if any of you go, but it's for me, it's a every 5-year chance to look in the mirror. And this May, it was quite a look. Every conversation I wound up being in with a dear classmate ended with a reflective question of what are you doing with all the experiences you've acquired in your life to make a difference now. And so I was honored to be nominated for the board because ONA has been hugely impactful for me in my career and in my role at Tegna. I lead our presence here, and in the last 4 years, we've doubled the number of folks that we bring because we get so much value as local broadcasters doing digital journalism at learning from our peers and getting inspired. And I don't know about you, but in my career, I've never felt that journalism and defending the core values of journalism more important than right now. I think as journalists, we've done a great job of telling other people's stories, and we probably haven't been focused enough on telling our own story and the value of what we do. I'd be honored to bring that focus and also a focus on collaboration, innovation, and partnerships in order to create a sustainable future to the board. Thank you. And Let's Be Frank stickers are available if you'd like one.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we have Haig O'Shagan, who could not be here because he is accepting an award, I believe. Is that right? So he sent Paula Andriana in his stead. All right.
Thank you, everyone. As he mentioned, he would love to be here, but he could not due to another engagement. But he did write a letter that I'm going to, hopefully it's under 2 minutes, read to you. So a little background about Haig. He's actually an associate professor at Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan, and also is the founder and director of New Michigan Media. Quick overview, New Michigan Media is a collaboration of the largest ethnic and minority-owned newspapers in the state of Michigan. That includes the Latino Press, the Arab American News, the Jewish News, the Michigan Chronicle, and the Michigan Korean Weekly. So this is actually a great organization. I'm actually the multicultural digital strategist for the organization, and I'm very pleased to be working with them because each publication is very important in the impact they do in the community. So the collaboration, so it is important to appreciate, this is his words coming right now. So he mentioned, it is important to appreciate that ethnic media often provide the backbone of minority communities, both in reporting locally and in advocacy. As our nation becomes increasingly minority and ethnic, the role these media play becomes ever more important. Yet they face the same challenges in reaching new and younger audiences and are understanding the digital space as do mainstream news outlets. The concerns of minority media should of central importance to ONA and its membership. It has taken years for me to better understand and appreciate ethnic and minority media, the challenges they face, the role they play, the audiences they serve, and the journalism they practice. The comparison with larger mainstream media is all too often not quantitative. That is smaller staff, smaller audience, but qualitative in nature, different role, different goals. This is important perspective that I would like to bring to ONA board. And it is not one based on years of working on social media, but one based on better understanding and appreciating the challenges that a critical sector of the media landscape faces. Thanks.
All right. So as a reminder, the hashtag for this is ONA elects, and our next speaker is Angela Pacienza. She's finishing up a panel. Well, then she's not our next speaker. I stand corrected. Nikita Patel.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nikita Patel, and it's lovely to be here. I oversee news partnerships at Twitter, and my handle is @Nikita. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about myself and why you should vote for me. So I've been a digital journalist for about 15 years. I started out working for local newspapers, local stations, then shifted to networks, startup, and then platform. And throughout that, I've basically done everything: writing, reporting, editing, SEO, analytics, audio, newsletters, you name it. So I'm a jack of all trades, and I think and I hope that's valuable experience to bring to the board. In terms of areas of focus for ONA, I believe that the most pressing issues that digital journalists face today are freedom of the press. Journalists today are threatened both in person and online, are banned from events, they're thrown in jail, and oftentimes things can be fatal. So I'd like ONA to continue to fight for these journalists and work with advocacy groups. I also strongly believe in diversity and inclusion as well. I believe that newsrooms should reflect the audiences that they serve. And with everything that's happening with Me Too, if you look at CBS News, this is more reason than ever that we need more women and more journalists of color in leadership roles. I also believe that ONA should continue to invest in training and development when it comes to emerging technology and collaborative journalism as well. If you look at Electionland from ProPublica, if you look at Panama Papers, these efforts only serve to strengthen digital journalism. I could go on and on. Last but not least, I want to talk about the fact that we should all be working towards creative and sustainable business models as well. I have a few more things to talk about, but I'll just do a tweet storm instead. Voting kicked off the other day, so please vote for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I'm sorry that I misstated your name. I wrote it down wrong, and I can't read my own handwriting, and my mom is very disappointed in me. She's not the only one. Okay, next we have Marianne Reed. Come on up.
Thank you very much. Hello, Marianne Reed. I'm the Dean of the College at West Virginia University College of Media. I love me a podium because I'm an academic, so I feel like I'm here without a safety net. But the reason I'm here as a kind of outlier is there are two reasons. One is because I'm a huge fan of ONA and Irving, Washington, and also because I believe that I have something unique to offer as a bridge between the academy and the industry. I think for too long that relationship has been primarily transactional. We supply the free labor and the cheap labor, and now we supply the free content to news organizations that are struggling, and that's been great, and it's given our students experience, but I think we can do so much more. And I believe that relationship can be truly transformational. We can serve as learning labs for industry to help solve some of these very significant problems, primarily the decline in audiences and revenues, and trust. We have brilliant faculty and students, and with our industry partners, we can hack solutions, we can test and experiment in new forms of storytelling and media practice. And I think there's just real opportunity that we can exploit further. As a seasoned administrator who has led a program, her own program, through a time of transformation and evolution, I think I have some unique insights to offer. First of all, I understand the landscape on a global level, what's impacting journalism education, the challenges we face, as well as the opportunities for collaboration. I represent a group of really innovative and creative deans who want to make a difference, but who often aren't at the table. I believe I am the only dean here at the ONA conference. And I think that needs to change because we influence our colleges. We're the ones who make things happen. Also, I probably would be the oldest member of the board, so I represent age diversity. I'm just joking. But the other piece is that I really do want to be involved. I believe very much in this organization, and I believe that I am a good representative of journalism education and a bridge to the future. Thank you very much. Can I have it?
You can have it. I like seasoned. You can't go wrong. You know, politicians can't go wrong with mom, apple pie, praising mom, apple pie, or Irving, Washington. So. All right, next we have, where are my notes, Ola Stenberg. And I believe we have a stand-in for Ola, right?
Yeah, that's true, thanks. My name is Øyvind. I'm representing my boss, Ola Stenberg. He's organizing a conference back in Norway starting in about 10 hours from now, so he couldn't be here. So why would anyone vote for a guy from representing a news organization you haven't heard about? Let me tell you a little about it to make it easier. Our news organization is called VG, and VG is actually an example of how a legacy media house can turn things around and become a successful news brand online. The newspaper was founded in 1945 by the resistance movement in Norway, and for many years was the most sold newspaper in Norway. And even the paper version is dying these days. It's still bringing money to the table. But we have also managed to position ourselves as #1 online in Norway, with about 2.5 million daily readers. And that's something we're kind of proud of in a country of 5.2 million inhabitants. And we feel reasonably well positioned in the battle against the global giants. VG has approximately 80% direct traffic. Only 4% of our traffic is coming from Facebook. And very important, if the paper version dies tomorrow, our organization will still be profitable. That's a big milestone we just reached and something we're very proud of. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I understand that VG both defeated the Nazis and figured out how to transfer from print to digital successfully? That's pretty impressive, I have to say. All right, next we have Valerie Straight. Come on up.
Thank you, everyone. So my name is Valerie Straight, and I'm a news operations lead at Google, and I advocate for publishers' needs, sort of in that space between product and operations and policy. And I spend a lot of time working across many teams, thinking about how we can ensure quality, diverse content appears in our products. Those who know me, however, might be aware that I spent 13 plus years of my life in newsrooms, wearing many hats, and I don't think I coined the expression "nin journalist." I think there might be some blog out there. But yeah, I served a lot of different functions in newsrooms, and I actually got my start as a local news broadcast producer in the San Diego and San Francisco markets. And spent 5 years working crazy overnights and developing a sleeping disorder. However, I remember the thing that really inspired me was really just the fact that I watched those same newscasts with my grandmother when I was at a tender, probably inappropriate age, young age, at night. And that's really maybe what catalyzed my passion at an early age to do this work. I have a master's degree from an elite liberal arts university in something called media ecology, which is really just a fancy expression for the study of media environments and ecosystems. And my professional and personal beacon is always to ensure the overall health and diversity of our information ecosystem. Our platforms are really only as useful as the content that we bring to users in the form of credible, trustworthy content. So like journalists, I do believe one of the pressing issues that I think about in ONA is really uniquely positioned to address is that, like journalists, platforms actually face a similar challenge of building trust and credibility with our users. And I see such a much more urgent need to collaborate, and I don't mean just collaborations in the way that platforms and journalists have, but I mean really, really collaborate and dig in to try to create, to think about how we can preserve and build and sustain the health of our information ecosystem and build trust across platforms. Also, the other thing is we need to support local news, and because they're such a vital part of that ecosystem. So that's where my passion for journalism was ignited, cuddling up with my grandmother, watching the evening news, to eventually producing those very same newscasts. So I really would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have Mina Thiravingadam. Come on up.
All right. Hi, everybody. I am Mina Thiravingadam, and about 15 years ago, back in 2003, I was a CHIPS Quinn Scholar, and I did an internship at the Salt Lake Tribune. There were 75 interns in our class, and at the time, everyone who spoke to us made a point of saying that 10 years from now, there are going to be very few of you who are still in the profession. Everybody at the time was like, you're going to go into a dying profession. Why are you doing that? Well, 15 years later, I'm here. I've worked at large local newspapers. I've worked at websites. I've worked at companies like Bloomberg and Business Insider. I'm now at Parsley, and I'm writing freelance articles. And 15 years in, I'm still in it. I've been able to build what I wanted, which was a sustainable career. One of the reasons that I've been able to do that is ONA and people like Jim Brady and Mandy Jenkins, who I've met, who have helped me transition from working in places where, social media was forbidden or, internet publishing wasn't as advanced. And they really helped me bridge any gaps in knowledge I have starting at a newspaper and starting journalism back in 2003, and have helped me build that sustainable career. And I think that's something that's really missing in journalism now. It's not just about building sustainable news organizations, which I think is very important and a large part of why I've joined Parsley recently, but also helping journalists build sustainable careers. It seems to me that most journalists get to a point where it's like, I actually want to pay off my student loans. I don't want to live in debt anymore. I want to actually make more money than I spend every month. I want to retire. I want to be able to save that money. And a lot of our newsrooms aren't set up in a way to foster that in any way. So I'm hoping that with ONA, we can really take the lead on that and not only help news organizations become more sustainable, but make journalism a more sustainable career so that people with deep experience can really go throughout their career and work an entire career in journalism and be there to make sure they're fighting for freedom of the press and making sure stories are being told and teaching those who are coming after them instead of going to PR and pitching us because they don't feel like they have a personal future in the industry.
All right. Sure, Jim and Mandy get call-outs. What am I, chop liver? Okay, we are in a home stretch here. Next we have Leslie Wilkinson.
My t-shirt. Complete with my ONA volunteer t-shirt. A shameless plug since I was here this morning on the registration desk. Probably saw many of you bright and early at 6:30 or 7, so hooray, hooray. I've been volunteering on the registration desk for about 6 years now. I started doing that as a way to meet and greet people, and it is probably one of the best ways, if you've never volunteered, to get to meet pretty much the entire 2,400 attendees all in one fell swoop. So if you haven't volunteered in that way, I do encourage you to come out and do that. So my name's Leslie Wilkinson. I'm currently the Senior Product Manager at CNN for our mobile app. Many of you have probably used it, seen our videos, seen our push alerts. That's my bread and butter. Like many of my fellow nominees, I got my start working in local media. I was a newspaper designer, the Charlotte Observer and the LA Times, and along the way found myself super involved in content management systems like CCI. So I was always one of those people who sort of sat in the newsroom and talked to the technology people and sort of went, hey, I've got an idea. Hey, I've got an idea. Or I've got a way to fix this, and sort of was a thorn in their side. I left the LA Times and went back to grad school to get my MBA as my way to sort of transition into digital, sort of a roundabout way to get there. And I've run content teams at NASCAR.com for Turner Sports before I sort of took it further and moved into the product side of the house. I went to WRAL in Raleigh, where I got my start building mobile applications, which was fantastic. And from there, I've sort of worked to build more. Came back down to Atlanta, worked on building 10 apps for Cox Media Group's TV stations, and from there joined the team at CNN. So what I think that I'd be able to bring to the board is sort of that progression from not only being in those different roles throughout a newsroom, but looking for ways to bring those editorial voices into product organizations. I've heard from several colleagues and friends here today that, how did you do it? How did you build those skills? How did you learn to ask those questions that drove those technologists nuts? And how did you sort of learn to build those voices? There's definitely a growth in the curriculum here at ONA about how to move into those audience development roles and also into product roles. I'd like to continue to work with the board to find more ways to build out those curriculums, to bring those editorial voices into the product and technology organizations.
Very much. I think we need to give all the candidates a round of applause for staying within 2 minutes. Okay, that's enough. We don't have time for this. We next have the aviation queen, Bené Wilson.
I'm going to get right to it because I know that I am the one that is standing between you guys and the bar. So my name is Bené Wilson. I'm a VP of the ONA board. I've been a member since 2010. I went to my first ONA in 2010, and it looked a lot different back then. I knew that I had found an organization that I wanted to be involved in, and I jumped right in. But it didn't look like it does now. And I have always been an advocate for media diversity, and I mean that in the very broadest sense. The tipping point came in 2013. I see you, Robert Hernandez. I'm shouting you out. Robert was on the board then, and he came up with this idea. He wanted to do a reception for, we called it Nerds of Color. It was Robert, it was Michelle Johnson, and some other people. So it was in Atlanta, and we asked Irving, we wanted to do this. It was 2 weeks before the convention. Irving's like, okay, I'll see what I can do. He got us an old deserted bar in the hotel. It wasn't being used. He's like, but we can't do anything else. He made a sign for us. We got it out on Twitter. The room was packed. And what was really, there were three things that were amazing. Number one, that the room was packed and it was filled with all kinds of people. Number two, journalists were paying for their drinks. We weren't paying for anything. It was a bar, but you had to pay for your own drinks. But I think number 3 was after it was done, we had 4 or 5 people who wanted to come up and sponsor it. And we've had this reception sponsored ever since. And I think it's a credit to how diverse, and I mean this in the broadest sense, this organization has become. And I want your vote because I would like to continue that work because we have more people coming, but we don't have a lot of people from the middle, the flyover states. I want to see more international people. We're doing really well on that, but I want to see more of that. I want to see more young people, ONA locals. So thank you all very much. And
All right, so as I said, there were a few candidates who had some conflicting sessions, and they've made their way in, so we'll turn our attention to them. And let's see, first here, I'm gonna go with Stacey Baird. Come on up. For those of you who didn't hear, you have 2 minutes. If you go over 2 minutes, you're not allowed to come to ONA ever again.
I just went over in my panel discussion, so this doesn't bode well for me. Okay. I got my first press pass when I was 12, and I felt really special and proud and powerful. People really respected the press pass. People really respected journalism as a career choice. But I didn't really fully understand the weight and the responsibility of that press pass until now. My name is Stacey Baird. I'm an assistant professor of communications at the University of Laverne. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of it. We're a small private university located in Southern California. We are a nationally recognized Hispanic serving institution, and we primarily serve first-generation students. And I love my students. Shout out to them. They're probably watching this right now. So a lot has changed since that first press pass that I got. I've changed. Journalism has changed. I feel like journalism's evolution has been my personal evolution, going from cut and paste with an X-Acto knife and that sweet, sweet smell of rubber cement to laser printers, HTML, mobile phones. I mean, I look back on my career and I can't believe how much has changed and how much I've done. And I know that struggle to master new technology while at the same time knowing that tomorrow something new is going to come around and it's going to be bigger and better, and it's going to change everything. I'm an academic now, and my strength and my passion is really the big picture. So studying the process of story building to develop relationships and shape communities, the role of media in a free market. And today, the journalism industry, media, we're under fire. And I think to look forward to the future, we need a new understanding, a new perspective. And I'm just gonna come out and say it. Journalism has a PR problem. And I think that trust in media has declined. Journalists are losing credibility, and the image of journalism, frankly, has turned rather ugly. I think we have to do something about that. And I think as an educator, I have a responsibility to train the next generation. And I think together, if we work together, that we can improve our image, and I'm gonna say this too, we can make journalism great again. I couldn't resist.
All right. Okay, next we have Fergus Bell.
Thank you. I just came from a really intense session, so it's a shift now. I want to see the values of this amazing organization reach more journalists at a global level. I'm someone who's part of ONA's international community, and that means I get to see the organization from a very different perspective. And I see the huge potential for it to help so many more people. It's a strong advocate for our community across the United States, but now it's time to bring that strength and experience to fight the key challenges faced by digital journalists in places where they have little or no voice, but desperately need one. I've been involved with ONA for almost half of my career in journalism. I presented at my first conference in San Francisco in 2012 and have attended every conference since. I've been on program teams, an OJA screener, I'm co-organizer of ONA UK, and I was a founding member of ONA's Social News Gathering Ethics Code. I also started the Global Council to Restore Trust in Media and Fight Misinformation, of which I'm really happy to say ONA is one of 6 founding members. I'm a journalist, but I also have extensive experience in the business of our industry. I've worked in newsrooms for 15 years, but I've also worked for startups, and now I help newsrooms with digital news gathering and transformation. Last year, I launched Pop-Up Newsroom, a framework for large collaborative journalism projects. It's involved partnering with more than 100 news organizations, and that experience is something that I can definitely help the board identify new areas that an ONA presence could make an immediate and clear difference. I've also got fundraising experience through this, and I would leverage that network and connections wherever possible so that the ONA community could access those resources. I want to make sure that opportunities for members are not limited by geographic funding restrictions, and that means opening up access to additional sources. ONA has an incredibly strong track record when it comes to promoting diversity in its newsrooms, and I would really like to strengthen the ONA's efforts to specifically recognize the needs of the LGBTQ+ community within our industry. I really love this organization and its community, and I will fight for you in all ways that you need me to. I would do that regardless, but I would really like to do it as a member of your board.
Thank you. All right, so our penultimate speaker, which I know all of you know means not the last, but the second to last, is, let's see, alphabetical order, Rodina Medin-Fillion. Excuse me.
As digital journalism has grown from a niche to the norm, ONA has grown right along with it. ONA could help combat some of the most pernicious problems facing our journalism industry, such as the glacial progress in increasing newsroom diversity. Only 13% of people with leadership roles in American newsrooms are people of color. I admire the work ONA has done to try to change that, including through their Journalism Mentorship Collaborative. I would like to take it further by helping us partner more with the other organizations committed to diversity, including NABJ, AAJA, NAHJ, and journalists of color. Women now make up close to 70% of graduates at many journalism schools. And yet, they face these obstacles when they enter the workforce, barriers that prevent them from reaching their full potential. The result? Only a third of newsroom leaders are women, and that number has barely budged in the last 20 years. I'm a proud member of the 2017 cohort of ONA's Women's Leadership Accelerator. That program provided invaluable guidance for me in my career. I would strive to work with ONA to see what more we can do to change the ratio so that more female journalists ascend to become leaders in our industry. Many journalists talk about increasing diversity in newsrooms. I do the work to make it happen. I believe in lifting up others both within my newsroom and outside of it. I implemented recruiting practices at The Intercept that ensure that we have a diverse candidate pool at all stages of hiring. I launched and co-run a fellowship program that cross-trains young journalists, most of them women of color. I've connected dozens of people to help them find jobs. I've taught at both Columbia and NYU's journalism schools and guest lectured other universities, giving students the career advice I wish I'd had at their age. Every week, I ask myself what I did to help others succeed. ONA is already a critically important organization that provides valuable training and career development for journalists. If you vote for me, I'll work to make ONA even better.
All right, you caught me short. All right, I gotta get up on here. I'm only gonna get right back down again. Our last speaker is Angela Pacienza. Come on up. I like the sashes. A couple of you got sashes. That's good. I wish I had those.
Do you want? We can make you one. We have an extra one in our room. So, okay. So now I truly stand between all of you and the beer, and I'm Canadian, and I know how important beer is. So I'm Angela Pacienza. I'm from Toronto. I work at the Globe and Mail, and most recently, we held an ONA Insights at the Globe and Mail Center, which was one of the 4 international events that ONA had, which I helped organize and got us some funding for and whatnot, and we had about 150 people, I believe, show up, which was really fantastic. I've been involved with ONA since 2009. I helped launch the ONA Canada group, and I currently run the Toronto chapter of our local meetup. I was part of the Women's Accelerator Network. I've judged awards, screened awards. I don't know. I've done lots of things. I'm a huge supporter of ONA, and I really do, like some other speakers have said, you know, one of the things that I think is really important is tapping into other networks that are outside of the U.S. And, you know, and we've seen that happen as ONA has branched out and done international meetups. What I wanted to talk about in terms of the most pressing issue is I think of the word I just came from a therapy session, it felt like, so now my words are all jumbled. It's relevance, and so I think as journalists in our newsrooms, we struggle, and you know, it's an ongoing struggle, to remain relevant both to our audience, to society, and within our newsrooms and in our organizations. And to me, that is really, really near and dear, and it affects everything from funding models, to the journalism we put out, to access to audience, to the technology behind it, and whatnot. And those are some of my areas of passion, and I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, and that's it. Please vote for me, I really wanna be on the board.
Okay, I'm gonna take the, my words aren't working either. Yeah, it's only day one of the ONA too. Already my brain is going away. I just want to say that when I first got involved in ONA back in 2006, there were not 22 people running for the board. And I think it's a real testament to past board members, Jim and Robert, who were mentioned earlier, plus everyone else who's still on the board, Jane and Irving and the staff, and all of you for what you have turned ONA into, that have first created 22 people who want to be a part of running this organization, but also have made it an organization that can support this number of people and this quality of people running for the board. And I know I joked earlier about how many people there are, and I think all of you would make phenomenal board members, and it breaks my heart that only 6 of you are going to be elected. But I know that all of you will stay involved in ONA. So please go vote, go drink, not necessarily in that order, and please mingle and ask questions of the board member or the board candidates. They're all going to stay up here and ready to talk to you and answer your questions. So thank you very much.